Ellie wakes to the distant echo of waves crashing against the old settlement walls, a sound that reminds her peace never lasts. She keeps her distance from everyone, living quietly on the edge of the community, afraid her presence will only bring danger. When a lone traveler arrives carrying news of a violent faction hunting down former Fireflies, Ellie feels something shift inside her. She knows she cannot ignore it. Packing silently in the early morning hours, she leaves behind only a note and steps out into the cold dawn, unsure if she will ever return. Her path leads her through deep forests where the world feels both alive and abandoned. Every sound makes her grip her knife tighter as memories flood back uninvited. On the road, she encounters a group of travelers who have heard rumors of raids happening far to the north. Ellie barely speaks, afraid of sharing too much, yet something in their fear reminds her of her own journey. When they're attacked by infected near an abandoned ranger station, Ellie reacts with instinctive precision. After saving them, she leaves before sunrise, still unwilling to stay close to anyone. As she continues north, Ellie discovers the remains of a camp struck by violence, burned tents, scattered supplies, and the fading smell of smoke. She finds a survivor barely clinging to life, who reveals that a militant group is hunting anyone connected to the old Firefly network. Ellie tries to help her, but the woman dies before dawn. She buries her silently, whispering an apology, then pushes forward, the weight of her past growing heavier with every step. Ellie eventually reaches a fortified settlement where she's forced to surrender her weapons before entering. Inside, she meets a tired doctor who once worked with Firefly members and has been running ever since. He warns her that the faction is ruthless and organized, but reluctantly gives her a lead. Before leaving, Ellie encounters a young girl who asks why she looks so sad. Ellie gives her a small wooden carving she made on the road before walking out again into the cold, guards watching her with uncertainty. The road takes Ellie through mountains buried in snow. Every night, she camps in abandoned structures, listening to the wind rattle broken windows. One evening, she's approached by a team of scouts searching for missing friends. Their exhaustion disarms her, and she lets them stay by her fire. They reveal they've been running from the same faction. Together they travel into a hidden valley only to find the remnants of a slaughter. The scouts break down, and Ellie feels her anger building, promising herself she will help find the survivors. Tracking the enemy to an old mining facility, Ellie studies patrol routes and plans an infiltration. The scouts aren't fighters, but Ellie is. She slips inside the facility like a shadow, opening a path for the others to rescue the remaining captives. During the escape, Ellie senses they've been marked, hunted now more than ever. The survivors tell Ellie the faction is searching for a legendary Firefly scientist who might still hold knowledge about the cure. The thought twists something inside her, pulling her toward a past she isn't ready to face. As they travel west, they encounter a convoy of the faction. Forced into a brutal fight, Ellie reveals the full extent of her combat skill, shocking those around her. After the attack, they reach a coastal port town where whispers of boats heading to an offshore research site linger in hushed corners. Searching the docks, Ellie learns anyone asking about Fireflies disappears. Investigating a warehouse, they uncover signs of interrogations and torture. Before they can process it, the faction ambushes them, forcing Ellie and the group into a frantic escape that ends with them stealing a boat and vanishing into the fog. They arrive at a mysterious island at dawn, filled with abandoned labs and medical tents. Ellie feels her past crawling back as she sifts through documents detailing immunity experiments. A survivor mentions a scientist who might still be alive somewhere inland. Ellie heads toward an old lighthouse rumored to be a safe house, only to be attacked by a desperate man protecting the scientist. Once subdued, he tells Ellie where to find him. She moves deeper into the island alone, unsettled by what she might learn. Ellie eventually discovers a hidden bunker buried beneath moss and tangled roots. Inside, she finds the scientist, older, frail yet very much alive. He recognizes her name instantly. He admits to once working on the cure research and confesses he believed Ellie could still be out there. Ellie feels a surge of old anger and grief. They barely begin talking when explosions shake the bunker. The faction has found them. Ellie drags the scientist through emergency tunnels as chaos erupts above. Outside, a fierce battle unfolds. Ellie fights with a ferocity fueled by years of pain, doing everything she can to protect the scientist. The survivors rush to help, eventually pushing back the faction's forces. When silence returns, the island feels like a graveyard. The scientist reveals that the cure research isn't lost. He remembers most of it. But he warns that restarting the project might restart the cycle of sacrifice. Ellie is torn, memories of Joel flooding back with suffocating intensity. As the group debates their future, everyone looks to Ellie. Some want to rebuild the Fireflies. Others want to destroy the research to stop further bloodshed. Ellie takes a long breath and decides that the cure should be rebuilt, but only with consent, transparency, and a promise that no one will be forced into sacrifice again. The scientist agrees, moved by her conviction. For the first time in years, Ellie feels something warm flicker inside her. Hope. Leaving the island, Ellie looks back at the shoreline fading behind them. The road ahead will be dangerous, but she no longer feels alone. She has people who trust her, a mission built on choice instead of guilt, and a future she's finally ready to fight for. As the salty wind brushes against her skin, Ellie lets the past drift away with the tide. For once, the world doesn't feel broken. Feels like something new is beginning. As they sail toward the mainland, Ellie watches the horizon blend into soft shades of gold. The scientist sits quietly beside her, sketching plans for a research shelter that won't repeat the mistakes of the past. Ellie listens to the survivors talk about rebuilding communities and protecting one another, their voices hopeful yet cautious. She realizes she's hearing something she thought she lost forever. People believing in tomorrow. For the first time, she allows herself to believe in it too. When they dock at a forgotten harbor, Ellie steps onto the cracked concrete and feels the weight of the future settle over her. The world is still dangerous, but she senses a shift within herself. She is no longer wandering in search of closure. She is moving with purpose. As they begin rebuilding the old port into a temporary base, Ellie helps carry supplies, her hands steady and willing. It feels strange to be part of something again, but also strangely right. One night, as the group gathers around a small fire, Ellie shares a quiet memory of Joel. Something gentle, something unburdened by anger. The others listen without judgment. The scientist thanks her for trusting them with her story. Ellie looks into the fire and feels a warmth she hasn't felt in years. She realizes she's no longer defined by loss alone. The people around her aren't replacing what she's lost. They're adding something new. Days later, as Ellie sets out on a scouting route beyond the harbor, she pauses to look back at the growing settlement. She sees lanterns glowing in windows, people working, children laughing.